I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We welcome Hobbesy. Hi.
Hello.
Greetings. Hey, please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi there. I'm Hobbesy. Sometimes this Hobbesy, but always that Hobbesy, Tulpa Tiger Lad Tinkerer and Pro-Am practitioner of the pseudoscientific arts.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I might need some of those pseudoscientific arts sometime soon, as my car's not working very well.
Oh, goodness. All
Yes.
right. We'll see what we can do.
and regular scientific arts doesn't seem to work. I'll take anything at this point. So, appreciate you coming on again. When did you get started with VTubing?
I believe, going back, actually timing in ages and years. It was probably about 3 years ago, I'd say. I got started 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. There was a little mobile app of sorts, Reality. I don't know if you're familiar.
I've
or if
heard
anyone
of
in
it.
the audience is familiar.
Yeah, I heard.
Got started there.
Oh, and from there, when that kind of went by the wayside, is that when you switched over?
Slowly made a transfer over. Started out moved into Twitch and everything, and picked up there. But yeah, that was probably about 2 years ago. I think I'm on an anniversary as of a few days back.
Oh, so I'm not going to ask you what you're going to do about it because you almost forgot it.
I did, actually.
Maybe I'll ask you about what the next one when it comes up.
There we go.
So, what was the difference for you in streaming between that platform and this one?
Reality is more limited space. Didn't have recording features and stuff like that. And back when I was using it, it was still relatively early on in the app's development. Now they've got 3D rooms and all this good stuff. But I just I wanted the ability to stream, record, and be able to continue putting things out in a more expanded way. I guess following the hobby, as it were, at the time.
Yeah, and have you done that with other platforms as well?
No, I've kept it mainly to Twitch. I've dabbled over in YouTube, just kind of for VOD savior and all that good stuff. But
but you haven't done like a YouTube and Twitch stream at the same time or anything like that.
No, I haven't delved into the multi-stream thing. I feel like I definitely should, but
I don't know. I mean, I see people do it and do it well. I have a hard enough time concentrating on talking to one person.
Right. Paying attention to a single chat, paying attention to a multiple chat.
Yeah.
We try to keep the group small regardless.
Yeah, you start forgetting who said what, and then now it gets all, or you start paying attention one more than the other. I don't know. You start to get to the point where you start needing a production crew just to get on.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. No, focus is limited.
Yeah.
Especially when you're topping that off with games or whatever you happen to be doing at the time.
That's right.
And I have a horrible attention span as it stands.
So how do you get that done? Are the games that you play so intense that you're not able to get chat into it very much?
No, I wouldn't say that. I do forget things very easily. So if something's brought up or I don't happen to read something until a minute or two later, I'll have to go back and, perhaps request the information be fed back to me. But, just go with the flow, I suppose.
Yeah. Was it when you got started with this other streaming service, did it have the same type of chat response that Twitch has?
In what way could you elaborate?
Well, I mean, did it have the same type of chat that Twitch has, where you could?
Oh well, yeah. Does feature the same chat features and everything, gift giving and whatnot in place of like bits and all that, but still in there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure beyond that. I would say,
but
a lot's happened since I've been away.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying there wasn't much of a change between one to the other as to how you had to handle chat. I wouldn't think.
Not terribly.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from going in and setting up your redeems and all that good stuff that comes along with it.
Yeah.
Very similar chat experience.
Did they follow you over?
I made a few acquaintances over that way that as they expanded out as well, we've kind of stayed in our own little kind of bubble.
Yeah, well, that's good. At least they followed you from one place to the other. And
Definitely.
so it's nice to have folks that are coming out, and that proves you've got people who are coming to your streams to be with you, not necessarily what you're doing.
Right, definitely. You build up sort of friend groups from things, and just your more familiar acquaintances and whatnot that are good people to just chill with.
Yeah. But when you got started,
brings a friendly vibe.
Yeah. When you got started on streaming, what was your goal? Were you just having fun with it, or?
It's always just been kind of a hobby for me.
Yeah.
For the most part, I have a lot of hobbies. I'm kind of a collector of those things, but yeah, that's the main focus. Never really looking to get too serious with it, but just good times, good vibes.
If somebody came and gave you a check for $1 million, you wouldn't turn it down.
Goodness, no.
That would be a job in a hurry. But,
I would take it. I would smile through the whole thing, and
yes,
I would do what must be done.
Yes, that's right. It must be done at that point when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
So what type of games are you usually streaming?
Usually it's more friend-based things. I get involved with recently web fishing and whatnot, just kind of the social aspect, hanging out with others, enjoying the time. Yeah. Nice, peaceful things. Yeah. Things for myself and my alone time and whatnot. I'll dip into some RPGs. Final Fantasy X was the thing that I got my affiliate through at the point in time. So there's always been a soft space in my heart for them, even though I never seem to finish.
Just get up to the end and start over again.
Pretty much, get just up to that edge, and well, maybe next time.
Yeah. Just you don't want that tells me anyway that's a game you enjoy enough you don't really want to end it. You would go back and try it again, and get through it. Or it just takes too long at the end. One of the two.
I was going to say, I like that initial spin you put on it there, as opposed to, why is this so hard? Lord, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it as positive as possible for you.
Right.
But the web fishing game. So I find it funny, and it's funny to watch because the I mean, this is like sub PS1 level graphics in a lot of ways, but it's cozy enough for people to still want to play it anyway.
Definitely, yes. One of those things that just proves you don't need the high-end graphics, you don't need the deep narrative. You just throw some people into a sandbox together and let them chill.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't need to be, the legend of Bob, 15 to get all these people over there and realistic blood and all that stuff. If you just put on something that people will enjoy and can take some time out and not have to worry about stuff.
Definitely. I will say, on the topic of web fishing, I feel like there's a deeper lore in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that gets expounded upon, at least little things like that keep it fresh. But the social aspect is really great. And just, like I said, hanging out with people, doing silly, goofy things.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big, extravagant thing.
Yeah. I mean, you imagine the people who put that together, and people now are streaming it and just hanging out in it for hours, and they're like, what did we create?
Right.
I just wanted a little fishing game, and here is everybody.
The best $5 experience you can get, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't even get a quarter pounder with that money at this point.
I know, right?
Yeah. So it's great to see that games like that still get attention. And everybody, I think a lot of people have those comfort games where they're not exactly the most advanced game, but they're just fun to play.
Oh, for sure. You got your Stardew Valleys and everything else that's come off of that. Yeah, and they just create these nice, cozy experiences that people can settle into. And like I said, just kind of proves you don't need the big budget to get a worthy experience or to get your money's worth out of an experience.
Oh yeah. Well, I know that Stardew Valley one. I've got over 30 save files of Stardew Valley. I played it for a long time, and I have to stop. I mean, they had a big update this last year at the beginning of the year, and I have stayed away because otherwise I wouldn't be getting any interviews done or any work done, and I'd be taking time off of work.
Right, can't fall back into that hole.
No,
Understandable.
That has claimed far too much of my old life as it is at the moment. But when I get back to it, I'm going to be playing the heck out of it. I'll tell you that. But that's a one-man show there, putting it together.
Yes, very impressive.
Yeah, really, and so many people have played it. Things don't have to be super complicated to enjoy with these games.
Definitely.
And even to watch these games, it doesn't have to be super complicated.
Right, and it brings in... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, it definitely brings in, you get those aspects of audience interaction and everything as well. And everybody can just kind of enjoy the setup and scene and relaxation of it all, as it were.
So I got to ask you about this because I'm absolutely jealous of your voice.
Thank you.
Where'd you buy it?
I was apparently granted it when I was born, and grew into it, as it were, over a great and many years.
Yeah.
And it's strange. I get compliments on it, but I don't hear it. So whatever you guys are hearing,
yeah. Well, evidently you don't have your bass turned up.
I guess so. I need your ears, is what it is.
No, believe me, you don't want that either. Years of having headsets on in the radio booth, they're not quite as responsive as they used to be.
You see, I have that problem, though mine is more concert induced.
Oh yeah, you've got the high pitched tone that goes on and on and on. No, I actually, it's a sad thing about when you do get as old as I am and the hearing goes a little bit. I went in for an hearing test a couple of months ago, and I have lost 30% of the high up frequencies on my hearing.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I used to be able to hear way up there when I was in my teens. And I'm like, how did that happen? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't stick anything down inside my ear. It should be perfectly fine.
Unsafe. Nothing smaller than my fingers.
Yeah, that's
nothing.
Right. Or Betty White used to say, only stick your elbow in your ear. Well, couldn't
You're
even
right.
do that. But really, this is the type of voice that people would want to be reading the ASMR stuff.
Well, thank you.
So have you ever thought about that?
I actually had some things in the works that I haven't gotten back to yet, where I just read short horror stories.
Excellent.
As it were, I also run a podcast. So there's that, and that was kind of supposed to lead off of that and everything as kind of filler content in between weeks.
Yeah.
But so it has crossed my mind.
Yeah. Well,
but we just haven't gotten there.
People will go for it because there isn't a sharp edge on your voice at all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I haven't really considered the ASMR thing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be.
Perhaps.
Doesn't have to be anything that's too long. I mean, the ones that are on there now are, I don't know, 20 minutes. Just
right.
Talking somebody down. You've got the voice for it perfectly. It's out there. I only take 10% of your commission for it for suggestions.
Hey, you know what? You are welcome to it.
I'll take that shiny dime any day. But really, we've got the podcast going too. What's that about?
The Hobbesy Horror Screencast Bros. It's just a program where a buddy and I were really into horror films, and we figure why not sit down, watch them, and then do a little talk along through them, and then release that bi-weekly.
Yeah. Is it? Do you go about the new ones or old ones or both?
Any and all. We've got things from different genres in there. We are wrapped up recording the first season. I just got to finish the editing for the final 2 episodes and then put those out, and we'll officially be on a season break until February.
Yeah,
but yeah, we do a touch of the old, touch of the new.
Yeah, there's always that editing involved. Yes.
Yeah. Even just the limited stuff and my poor attention span.
Yeah. So I've got a core question for you.
All
Since
right.
you are the horror movie person, Hammer films, good or bad?
I'm gonna say Hammer films are good.
Mm,
I will sit on the side of good with Hammer films.
okay. I see there are some that are pretty not good. But
I mean, even the not good can be good in its own way.
yeah.
That kind of so bad it wraps its way back around to being kind of awesome.
The ones with Terry Thomas. I don't know about those, but the other ones are folks who don't know what we're talking about. Hammer Films was from the UK, and mostly in the '60s, weren't they?
I believe so.
Yeah, and they were pretty limited budget films, I would say, but they got the most out of it that they could. And there's some pretty classic ones in there, and there's some that aren't so classic, but are still fun to watch. But some people watch films for the wrong reasons too.
I definitely feel that could be the case in any entertainment, truly.
Yeah, I mean, if I go out and watch Transformers 2, which I did with my stepdaughter, we didn't go out to watch.
Respect.
We didn't go out to watch Shakespeare. We went out to watch things blow up.
Exactly.
I don't care that the dialogue.
There's a reason for everything.
Yeah, I don't care that the dialogue was bad. I like the things blowing up.
Right. I'm here for explosions.
Yeah.
I'm here for shiny effects.
Yeah, exactly. When I watch a Marx Brothers film, I'm not there for the political satire. Well, it's there, but I mean, I'm there for watching goofy things and wordplay. There's
precisely.
Yeah, I mean, so you listen to critics and there's different ways, but I imagine on your podcast that you embrace all of that, and when you're looking at films after all this time.
You kind of have to.
Mm.
I mean, some things will always leave more questions than answers, and leave you with an incomplete feeling. But
well, no Manos hand of fate, right? Some of those films you're just never going to figure out.
No,
there's just no way to do it. But there's others. If I were to ask you, black and white film underrated that it doesn't come up in conversation very much, but is a great horror film. Can you give me one?
That doesn't come up in conversation much?
Yeah. Underrated.
I don't know if I can name anything off the top of my head.
We'll be back after this message.
I would say, I suppose it's not underrated, but perhaps still what doesn't get the attention it probably deserves. The original, was it the original House on Haunted Hill?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The old Vincent Price bit.
Oh, yeah. Vincent Price.
Like I said, it might not be underrated just because Vincent Price was the actor of horror actors back in his heyday. But as a personal favorite, I'd probably throw my hat in that direction. Or the original 13 Ghosts.
There you go.
Which a lot of people don't know there was an original. Granted, I don't know if a lot of people remember the quote unquote modern rendition.
Yeah. But people, the younger folks these days, some of them just write off black and white films anyway.
I mean, entirely.
And that's a majestic mistake. Because
absolutely.
And I was there when they tried to colorize some of those films. Another mistake. That was really weird, and it didn't look right at all. But sometimes the horror is better in black and white.
Definitely. Looking at Night of the Living Dead, which they did a colorized version in 1990, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And the blood effects definitely work better in the black and white because they were dealing with a lot of syrups,
Yeah.
and later on with a lot of the M3 blood packs, which were neon in color.
Well, you never know what blood they had back then. It was different times, different
Different
times.
times, different
Yes.
blood, you know?
Well, back in that time, there's a lot of drug experiments, and then people just took a lot of them. So you never know what the blood looked like when it was done. But a lot of
Sir,
those,
this is chocolate
yeah,
syrup, all right? It's chocolate syrup.
But the early stuff like the film noir detective films and all that stuff, yeah, some of them are a little cheesy, but you couldn't really do those in color.
Yeah, no.
They wouldn't just wouldn't work. It reminds me a little bit of when you hear the stories about the movies going from silent to talk films. Some of those folks couldn't do talk because their voice wasn't for it, but
Right.
the acting style was different.
It definitely was very different. I mean, in silent film, everything was based on expression.
Yeah.
It's where we got kind of the roots of our slapstick comedies.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And Charlie Chaplin
Yeah.
could tell you a million emotions just by walking.
the grandest example of them, yes.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you look at some of his later stuff. The Dictator, Little Dictator. That was, I mean, that was years beyond its time when it came out. The Great Dictator.
Yes.
But again, that wasn't your normal slapstick comedy either. But then when you got some folks who transferred over from the really basic films of the 50s into the more grandiose 60s, it didn't really work either. It just didn't really set. Did you
Right.
do you think that when you started getting more color films in the horror genre that changed too?
I definitely feel it did because horror, I mean, horror is a very expressive genre in and of itself. It's tapping into your fears, it's tapping into what makes you uncomfortable. And colorizing, especially in the era of, slashers, and we got our Texas chainsaws and all good stuff like that.
Right.
Colorization makes things a lot more visceral, and maybe it followed in trend the intensity in which we embraced horror.
Yeah.
Because certainly you compare a modern vampire film, which I can't think of a scary modern vampire film.
Like I think of sparkly ones.
I would, don't know how we feel there.
Yeah.
We don't humanize the undead.
That's right.
Disney tried to do it, and it was bad too.
Yes.
So, but comparatively, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which maybe less of a horror film, compared to like Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Which is getting a reimagining, has already gotten a reimagining.
Well,
I'm not sure when that's supposed to come out, and I don't know how to feel about it.
it's certainly something that doesn't need to be done.
Definitely not.
I mean,
And I hope they handle it with the utmost care.
yeah, I mean, it's that type. The Nosferatu. I mean, maybe it's tough for people who are used to certain types of films to watch, but there's very few films that will wake you up 3 weeks after you watch them. That one will.
Definitely. Yeah. And films that impacted, speaking of that nature, definitely had a lot of instances of that in my youth with, I would say probably The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Had that effect on me.
Yeah. That'll do it in a hurry. And
oh yes.
And
those are lifelong scars.
Yeah. There were a few of them in the early 70s when they picked up more longer term horror films than quick jump, off comes their head horror films.
Right.
And that made a big difference. And what do you put where do you classify the grindhouse films?
Hmm.
Because some of them were kind of horror based. I mean,
Yeah, Grindhouse kind of skirts the line, I'd
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Maybe in a way that Trauma
mm,
kind of skirted the line,
yeah,
where it wasn't all in on the horror in some aspects. Some of it had more of a mystery or a thriller aspect in there.
yeah. But they're usually made on the cheap with
Definitely.
and maybe higher on the gore factor than anything else. Um, but there, I'm sure there are a few of them that'll still throw a scare in you now and again. Um,
Right, right.
but there's the advent, I'm thinking, of the color, and especially when films became a little cheaper to make on the cheap, um, really meant that these cheaper films were higher on gore than anything else, and kind of took away from any story that you had. And am I down the wrong path there?
No, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that for certain.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and perhaps just because it's easier to, have a big bloodbath type thing,
yeah,
or viscera, than get the guys to nail down the script for an extended period of filming. You just kind of want to get the splash on there and go.
yeah.
Um,
And then there's the whole uh, devil genre, devil slash vampire genre of the '60s. That's a whole different thing. that it looks like sometimes they film three or four of those at the same time.
I imagine they may have.
We'll reuse the
I mean,
costumes.
you look at a lot of horror film back in the day, and you see a lot of the same people pop up. So I
Yes.
mean, it's
I
could have just
didn't
been moving one project to the next, or hey, we got two projects going right now.
I didn't even have to learn a different script. It's the same script.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just going to step 10 feet over that way.
It's
There's
just
the other set piece.
they just draw out the name and write in the other name into it. It's pretty easy to do. Well, getting back to what you're doing online, um, is that podcast available online? Do you do that as part of your streaming, or is it separate from that?
It's kind of folded in
Mm,
along with it. It's all kind of branded together, but it is kept to its own
mm,
uh, platform titles and whatnot,
yeah,
or channels rather.
yeah. I think, would you do one of those live sometime on the stream?
We've done supplemental bits live
Mm,
when Killer Clowns from Outer Space came out,
yeah,
the game.
yeah.
We hopped on that because our second episode was on the film Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
Mm,
and we're big fans of that film, as it were.
yeah,
So kind of tie-ins and whatnot, and then made, yeah, I'd say tie-ins and supplementals.
mm,
We might do streams for, but
yeah,
other than that, those are mostly just kept to recording.
yeah. Yeah, just keep the world separate. Do not let the streams cross. Uh, are you
Whatever happens, happens.
yes, whatever happens. Are you where you wanted to be streaming from when you got started?
Uh, Considering I went in with no expectation, I'd say I got further than I intended.
Mm. Is that good, bad?
We keep. No, it's great. It's good. I don't keep heavy commitments to things. Like I said, I'm definitely a hobbyist
Yeah.
more than anything. So it's really good just to touch base with people, hang out with friends, get some games in, hang out with the chat, get some, good vibes going on and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I feel like getting to that position where I just have, some regulars that I feel close enough to that we have some personality and some familiarity and whatnot.
Mm.
Yeah, further than I expected to get.
I thought maybe after a couple of years you'd be pretty much done, and that'd be it. Nope, still going strong.
Right, we're here, we're still vibing, hanging out, doing our thing.
But that's great.
Yes, we've expanded our attention. Like, we've done the podcast, we do stuff musically.
Yeah.
We just kind of bounce it all off of each other occasionally. So I
Yeah.
haven't gotten so far in everything, but I'm further than I ever thought I would have gotten.
Yeah. I mean, it's great though because you're obviously enjoying it, it's a good place for you to let off steam or just relax and be comfortable. And it sounds like your chat's comfortable with it too.
Yeah, it's a good place to be. It's not a high stress situation. I'm not worried about the masses that I'm going to disappoint or let down. It's, hey, we're here, we're hanging out. Hey, I've got this new thing that I put out. Have a listen. Tell me what you think. But yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely excellent. I'm glad you have that, and folks are enjoying it too. Maybe.
Oh yes, and always welcome to have more. Come and join, hang out.
As a matter of fact, the links are going to be in the description for this interview. So.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
So folks can join right in and see what Hobbsy's got going. Have you got any big plans in the future? I mean, I know you missed your second anniversary, but
which happens,
it happens. Yeah. But have you got anything that you, or if it's not in the near future, have you got a far off goal?
I'd say right now it's just looking forward to continuing the podcast, getting that going, and maybe tightening it down when it comes to a season 2, getting a good flow and rhythm.
Yeah.
I really want to build on that. As far as stream stuff and whatnot, really it's just keep hanging out. Whoever comes, hangs out, that's cool. Yeah. Love it. Whoever stays, even better. But for now, it's just still kind of low key.
Yeah. You're pretty low key yourself,
I would say so. Thank you.
I can't get that low.
This isn't even the deepest of depths.
I know. That's what's killing me inside.
You should hear me with bronchitis.
Well, that's when everybody gets down to Barry White level. That doesn't count.
No, fair enough.
You used to do that with the radio. You get a cold and you go on the radio and suddenly everything sounds really cool.
Right. That's my favorite time to listen to myself.
That's right.
Probably the only time I listen to myself.
Yeah, the only good thing about having a cold is that you drop an octave.
It's a beautiful thing, truly.
That's right. So have you thought about maybe trying to do some interviews along those lines with the horror stuff?
There's been a consideration, but nothing too heavy thus far. There are people that I've met along the way through networking and whatnot, where it's just people who work on horror comics and things like that. I'd love to get them on board. A lot of independent folks I'd love to have.
Oh yeah.
As far as like bigger names and all that, it would be a dream.
Well, I can tell you from all my years in radio, you never know. I mean,
that's true. I mean,
maybe you catch them at the right time. Maybe you're the only one that gets to it because nobody else thinks about it, or everybody else is too intimidated by it. But
right,
if you don't take your shot, you ain't going to hit it. So
that is absolutely true.
Yeah. You never know. I interviewed some people I never thought I'd be able to talk to. But you just get in the right spot, and sometimes you can't.
Right. Yeah. Got to shoot the shot.
Yeah.
100%, something, yada, yada.
Yeah. Et cetera, so forth and so forth. Well, I wish you the best, and I hope things keep going for you really, really well like this has been going. You're enjoying yourself. People are enjoying listening to you and seeing what you got to offer. Again, we'll have all those links in the description for the video, and I hope that we have you back real soon.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me this time. I know it's been a bit of a long climb just to get here. Hurricanes kind of knocked out the original plan, and
yeah, that's why. There's one of the things I like being in Illinois. Our tornadoes are a lot smaller than that.
That's fair. We get tornadoes, hurricanes, all kinds of fun stuff around in my area. So
it's nice and boring here most of the time. I'll take the boring. Thank you very much.
I could probably use some boring,
Well, you are not a boring person.
Thank you so much.
You are definitely not a boring person. So thank you thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.